At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn.
Okay, here we go.
Where the plays get broken down and science gets denied.
Yeah, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Hour 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Raising Cane's studio.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 here on a Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you. Alondra Villarreal, Cassie Spazzali as well. Jacob Hester, Matt Flynn. They decided they just needed a day off. Alondra didn't need a day off, but they certainly,
I'm built different.
yeah, they certainly needed a day off. They're 40. They're old. I mean, it is what it is. Like I get it.
You can get through 3 hours.
Maybe when I'm 40, I'll have to take a random Friday off as well. But whatever. Yeah, I was looking forward to the gang being back together because Jake's out all next week. Like, he'll be on the show, but he's out in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. So
I know.
You're just going to have to wait a little longer.
The gang hasn't been together in a while because I was in Houston last week.
I guess
Matt.
Friday for one day last week was the one. So that's it.
Because Jake was out Monday and Tuesday.
You were out Wednesday,
Thursday.
And then
Friday we came back,
I guess
and then
Friday
we all
was
went
it.
to Mobile.
Yep. So Friday was it. One day in a 3-week period is what it's going to wind up being after next week's over. But
just tripods everywhere.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We're rolling with the punches. Speaking of Jake and Matt and Alondra, they were out there at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Also, shout out First American Bank and Trust for sending the crew down there. But right now, I just kind of want to put a button on that. Look at the LSU guys at the Senior Bowl. Like, yes, we know Aaron Anderson, Barry, and Brown are going to be there. Like, those are guys that. So okay. Flynn went on a lot of different shows this weekend. I was able to catch him. Also, Matt Flynn sounds way more professional on interviews than he does as a host. Like, I think Matt found his calling. Like, Matt is great on these radio interviews. Like, I was listening to him on the Hunt one on Wednesday, and I was like...
I was sitting right next to him.
I was like, is this the guy I know?
You know what's funny about that? 2 things. I want to tell, like, 2 real quick Mobile stories. But what's funny about Okay, so throwback to when we first got there. And Joel Thomas, the Saints running backs coach and the head coach for the American team, I believe it was, comes up, notoriously is standing in front of the camera the entire time that we're talking to him.
I know. If I ever had to pick out the back of that man's shoulder in a lineup, watch out, Joel.
Right.
I got
Watch out, Joel. So also kept coming up to us like while we were on air. But
the worst. Friggin' Joel.
Yeah. So Joel... wait, I forgot where I was going with that one.
Joel's interview was actually really good, though.
This is what so Hunt called Matt while we were at practice, and he was like, let me come sit over here where there's nobody, so nobody will, like, bother me or come up to me or whatever. He's like, so Joel Thomas doesn't just come up while I'm on the phone. And I'm like, no, that is so Joel Thomas coded. He definitely would have.
I mean, he did it yesterday.
Yeah. And then I just told you that during the break, I just put 2 and 2 together, that we ran into Tommy DeVito's agent with the fedora and the Italian stallion.
Sean Stellato.
Yes.
What a guy. I miss that era, though. I like Tommy DeVito.
This station from Auburn, they're called like the Tiger or something like that, kept wanting Matt to come on the show.
Okay.
Matt did not want to go on, but the guy was so persistent that, okay, so after media day, we snuck away because Matt he was like, yeah, I'll come on, whatever, but then he didn't really want to, so while they weren't looking, we left. And then later, we're waiting in line to get into practice. Guess who's standing in line right in front of us?
The Auburn guy.
He turns around and he's like, hey, bro, I know we weren't able to get you today, but can we get you tomorrow? He's like, yeah. He ended up going on.
Right.
But it was just so funny because he was like trying so hard to avoid him, and he was right in front of us in line.
I mean, it actually makes sense. And that's arguably his most famous play. Came against those Auburn Tigers.
True.
But speaking of the LSU Tigers, Matt mentioned all week, like, hey, Aaron Anderson didn't get a ton of opportunity in team period. I don't care because Aaron Anderson's going to show up with any opportunity he's given. He's athletic enough. The tape is there. Aaron Anderson's going to be fine. Same with Barryon Brown, just because of his speed, his athletic ability, and his return ability. The two guys I really wanted to watch was Garrett Nussmeier and Chris Hilton. And by all accounts, they both performed really well. Like, you guys posted the metrics on the screen. Garrett Nussmeier had the fastest throw. He had the longest throw. Like, Garrett Nussmeier looks 100%. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in all of these LSU fans in the comments. Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up, but hell with it. It's Friday. Let's do it. So many negative comments saying, well, you know, if Garrett Nussmeier was hurt, he probably should have set himself out. First off, if you're a college athlete, you're the team captain, you wear the number 18 jersey, you think your team has a shot to go win a national championship, you mean to tell me you're pulling yourself out? No. Like, don't give me that. That is easy to say after the fact. That's not happening. Also, the whole, Garrett Nussmeier is not actually hurt crowd. Like, yeah, you took a hit this week. One, he looked really good. And two, like, that never made sense to me. The whole Garrett Nussmeier isn't hurt crowd. Like, okay, if you don't think Garrett Nussmeier was hurt, then the only other possibility is that you truly believe somewhere in your brain that Garrett Nussmeier just physically forgot how to throw a football. Which one do you think seems more likely? Like, I had an argument with somebody about this during football season. They were like, oh, well, you know, Nuss was lazy in the offseason and his conditioning's off or whatever. Whether that's true or not, I'm not in shape. I don't take care of my body at all. You guys know that. I'm notorious for not doing that. I can throw the ball further than 15 yards, and Garrett Nussmeier is a way more athletic player than me. And he was struggling to throw that ball 15 yards down the field against Ole Miss. Take accuracy out of it, decision-making, I don't care. He was struggling to throw the ball 15 yards down the field. What the hell you think's wrong with him? I mean, come on, you think he forgot how to throw a football? No. I mean, high schoolers make that throw, and Garrett couldn't. There was clearly something going on. You don't throw for 4,000 yards and almost 30 touchdowns the year before, and you can't push the ball 15 yards down the field the year after. It doesn't happen. I don't care what your offseason training was. I don't care what you were doing on your spare time. Stuff like that doesn't happen. And he performed really well this week, and I figured he would because Garrett Nussmeier is a really good quarterback. Just wanted to get that out of the way real quick. The other player was Chris Hilton, and shout out to him because, look, he's taken his fair share of criticism here at LSU. Some warranted, some unwarranted, but like, you know, fans were frustrated because, you know, he was injured. He couldn't get on the field. When he did, you know, he had some drop issues. When he fixed that, it was just one thing or nothing. It would never work out for him here. And I think Chris Hilton's a really good player. But you want to talk about making the most of your opportunity and the want to? Chris Hilton, in the past 2 weeks, the Hula Bowl, the American Bowl, the East-West Shrine Bowl, and he was a late add in the Senior Bowl, and he's going to participate in the game as well. You mean to tell me that guy doesn't want to make it to the NFL? And he's going to because his speed is off the charts. And if he can put it together and have a really solid game, he showed up to basically every all-star game you can. That is a guy that I want on my team because I see the want. You know the ability's there. For whatever reason, it didn't click here. If it can click for him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, he performed well at the East-West Shrine game. Like, if he can do those things, Chris Hilton's a draftable player. Like, there's a chance that all four of the guys that were in Mobile this week do get drafted in the NFL. Now, moving away from LSU a little bit and looking at some of the other quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl, there was one guy when the Senior Bowl rosters were announced I wanted to keep an eye on because I've always been a big fan of his. And it's Luke Altmaier. I have been a massive Luke Altmaier fan really since he was at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. Now, yes, he lost the starting quarterback job at Ole Miss to Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart looks like he could potentially be a franchise quarterback in the NFL if all things go right. He's got a much better coaching staff under him. Like, people forget, as good as Jackson Dart was a year ago, he didn't really play with Malik Neighbors. I mean, Neighbors had that season-ending injury early in the season. He lost Scatteraboo halfway through. Like, next season, if he comes back with John Harbaugh as his full complement of weapons, we could see a year two jump, a crazy year two jump for Jackson Dart. So no shame in Luke Altmaier not winning that quarterback job. In 3 years, though, at Illinois, he was really good. 57 touchdowns, 21 picks. Like his final 2 years, 2024 and 2025. In 24, 60% completion, 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks. Last year, 67% completion, over 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 picks. And he can run the ball a little bit as well. He had 13 rushing touchdowns in his college career, almost 800 yards. And Flynn was raving about this guy all week long, and I understand why. Luke Altmaier could be the sleeper quarterback in this draft because he's not a guy, I don't think, that's going to go in the top 3 rounds. And this is a mid-round quarterback, I would think, and he's a heck of an athlete. And he's been in good offenses in college. He's had a lot of success for multiple years now, and he doesn't turn the ball over, which is important. And the other quarterback is Cole Payton. Cole Payton, look, came here as kind of the small school quarterback, if you will, even though North Dakota State's an absolute wagon in the FCS division. You know, a lot of people were looking at his numbers saying, okay, 2,700 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. Good numbers. 72% completion percentage. Like, that's a North Dakota State quarterback. He screams North Dakota State. His rushing numbers, guys, 777 yards and 13 touchdowns a year ago. In basically a 4-year college career for Cole Payton, 1,900 yards rushing and 31 touchdowns at the quarterback position. That's a draftable player. I mean, there was so much. The talent at the Senior Bowl this year, to me, was deeper than it had been in recent years. And, you know, we had talked about, okay, is the Senior Bowl going to lose a little bit of its luster? The East-West Shrine game is, you know, they're investing a lot of money into that. They want to play the game in Vegas. How is that going to look? Is it going to hurt the Senior Bowl? No. Quite the opposite. I mean, I think the talent top to bottom here was insane. Like, you go look at some of the edge rushers. Reuben Baines, David Bailey, Akeem Mesidor, like big-time college football players, all at the Senior Bowl. Like, these are guys that those 3 are potential first-round picks, and they show up. Like, in the past, you didn't really see guys that were locks for the first or second round go to the Senior Bowl. These were kind of under-the-radar guys who wanted to boost their draft stock. You saw it this year, though. I mean, the talent out there was incredible to look at. And again, shout out Garrett Nussmeier, Barryon Brown, Aaron Anderson, and Chris Hilton. All of them seemed to show up at the Senior Bowl, and I don't think anybody helped themselves more than the combination of Garrett Nussmeier and Chris Hilton, because both of those guys, a lot of criticism on them throughout the season, and they both showed up and performed really well. Okay, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're talking LSU men's and women's basketball. Spoiler alert, these 2 teams are trending in the wrong direction. We're talking about it next here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Well, speaking of diving in, would you like to dive into a Russell Pool? Because when you see what they can do for you, you'll be blown away. I mean, they're going to make the pool of your dreams. In fact, that's their tagline because they know it is factual. Let's build your dream pool. And what better time to get that process started than right now, because you are going to enjoy it year long. This is Louisiana. It is always pool season here in Louisiana, but this is truly a one-stop shop. We're talking about construction, maintenance, retail, all of that you handle with one company. That company is Russell Pool Company, and you can trust them. We trust them. Everybody they build pools for trust them. LSU, the Tigers, trust them as well.
Yeah, let them build your dream pool. They can do everything from design to landscape architect to financing options. They can do it all. When you think of quality pools, you think of Russell Pools. RussellPools.com.
Locked in on LSU football 24/7. You're listening to Off the Bench.
Welcome back in a Friday edition of OTB. Taylor Show up here with you, filling in for Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn. Want to talk some LSU basketball here. We're going to go men's and women's. We'll start with the good. Shocker, it's Kim Mulkey and the LSU women's basketball team. Look, you know, everybody criticized this team in the pre-conference slate saying, oh, they underscheduled. Their schedule's too easy. It's not going to help them in SEC play. And then what happens? They open SEC play and they lose back-to-back games. And all the critics start coming out. What they won't tell you is both of those teams were in the top 12. Kentucky was number 12. You lost 80-78. That was a toss-up game. Then you go to Vanderbilt, number 11 in the country, 65-61. You had opportunities to win that game. Well, since then, the LSU women's basketball team has won 6 straight games, most of them in dominating fashion. Like, you beat Georgia by 21 points in Athens. You go to, you come back home, but you play number 2 Texas. You win that game 70-65. At number 13, Oklahoma in Norman. Yeah, you win that one by 18, 91-72. You dominated Texas A&M team 98-54. And then on Monday night, a Florida team that you were expected to blow out, you do blow out 89-60, a 29-point victory. Is anyone surprised that Kim Mulkey, of all people, has this team rolling in the right direction? No, you shouldn't be, right? I mean, she's won multiple national championships, one right here at this school just a few years ago. The additions to this team. Malaysia Fulwiley's probably been the best addition to this team. She's been awesome. Kate Koval's giving you post play. Jada Richard's taken that year 2 step. And then, of course, Flau'jae Johnson and Michaela Williams, like, they're the anchors, right? They're the heartbeat of that team. We know what this team is. This is a top 10 basketball team. They're going to be a really good seed in the NCAA tournament. And I think they're going to go far in the tournament because they got talent, and you know for sure they have the right coach at the helm. That's the good news. The bad news is the LSU men's basketball team. Guys, they're 1-7 now in conference play. And they just suffered an 80-66 blowout loss to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now, I am not here to ask for anyone's job, and nobody on this station wants to do that. But I will sit here and say is the Matt McMahon experiment has not worked, and I don't see a clear path for turning it around. This is year 4 now. And, like, look, this is coming from someone that had a lot of high expectations for Matt McMahon. Like, hand up in the air, I'll admit it. When Will Wade was fired, everybody was looking for coaches. First name out of my mouth was Matt McMahon. And, you know, at the time, I thought it was a good decision. Like, I understand fans are frustrated, and everyone's going to say, man, John Morant made Matt McMahon at Murray State. Not really. I mean, John Morant's last season at Murray State was the 2018-2019 season, and they were great. 28-5, regular season champ, conference tournament champ, made it to the big dance. But the following year, 23-9, regular season champs in Ohio Valley. In 2020 and 2021, that season, they took a bit of a dip. It was 13-13. But McMahon's last season at Murray State, the 21-22 season, 31-3. Regular season champs, conference champs, tournament champs. They make it to the NCAA tournament and to the Sweet 16. Like, Matt McMahon had a lot of success at Murray State. So my thought was, hey, you give this guy an opportunity at a bigger stage with more talented players, a bigger resources to work with, he can make some things happen. And the reality is it just hasn't worked, at least not in SEC play. Like, you look at Matt McMahon's out-of-conference record since he's been here at LSU, it's actually pretty good. But once you get into the SEC, it's just not there. I mean, right now, Matt McMahon is 15-47 in SEC play in 4 years here in Baton Rouge. To put that in perspective, I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it is somewhere within 42-49 was Johnny Jones's SEC record here at LSU. 42-49. McMahon is 15-47. That's just not good enough. I get it. You lost Jalen Reed right before the season. That sucks. But you were sitting there 12-1 going into the SEC. You were feeling good. Another big blow. DJ Thomas, you lose him literally 2 days before you start SEC play. I get it. It sucks. But what did everyone talk about coming into year 4? You were fired up about the transfer portal class. You were hoping LSU would invest the money and the resources into this roster to get where you wanted to, and by all accounts, they did that. I mean, you brought in Markel Sutton, Max McKinnon, Mike Nwoko from Mississippi State, Pablo Tamba, DJ Thomas, who I just mentioned, and it just hasn't worked. And I see so many people saying, it's over, it's done, LSU is going to make a change. Are they, though? I mean, I understand that it seems like this football program at LSU has endless amounts of money. Does the basketball program? Because you got to remember here at LSU, basketball's third. And really, men's basketball is fourth. People care more about the women's team. But it's always going to be LSU football, LSU baseball. Everything else trickles down from there. Most schools, it's football and basketball. So don't compare your basketball program to other people's basketball programs. Compare LSU's basketball programs to other SEC schools' baseball programs. That's what you do. So is there a want to? I mean, I'm sure, like Verge Osbury said it. We brought it up on this show. It was a few weeks back. He did an interview with The Advocate, and Verge said, if LSU can't make it to the NCAA tournament, or at least as close as possible, everything will have to be reevaluated. Those were Verge Osbury's words. To me, it seems very clear at 1-7. You get blown out by a bad Mississippi State team. That was a must-win game. That it's over. You're not going to make the NCAA tournament. Barring some miraculous, unforeseen run in the regular season, you somehow go win the SEC tournament and you get in. I just don't see that happening. Because this team performs pretty well against decent basketball teams. It's the bad teams that they're bad against. They always play down to their competition level for whatever reason. But Brian Kelly, what was his buyout? $54 million? $52 million? You gave Lane Kiffin a big contract. You gave Lane Kiffin's staff big contracts. You just spent the most money ever on a transfer portal and brought in 42 transfer portal players to this school. And you have high expectations for the football program. Look at what Jay Johnson's doing. He dominates the transfer portal. And you're going to give him the funds he needs because baseball wins. Is there that appetite in the basketball program? I don't know, but what I can tell you is I don't know how it gets better. Because, like, I can give McMahon a pass on really the first two seasons. Like, remember, when Wade was fired, you didn't know if there were sanctions coming down or not. There wasn't. That was never going to happen. But let's just say at the time you didn't know if there was any sanctions coming down. When Matt McMahon got hired, there were literally 0 players on LSU's roster. He was able to recruit 1 or 2 of them back from that final Will Wade team. Okay, that's a wash. It was 14-19. That's about what you expect. Then in year number 2, he brings in some transfers. He goes 17-16. And you're like, okay, not where you want to be, but it's a step in the right direction. It's an improvement. You finish the season with a winning record. You're moving in the right direction. And I actually thought Matt McMahon did a really good job here in that second year. I thought he kind of maximized what that team was able to do. I don't feel the same way about last season. 14-18, I mean, that was underperforming. And then this year, you sit at 13-8 after such a hot start at 12-1. And LSU had a decent out-of-conference schedule. I mean, they weren't playing cupcakes every single week. I mean, there were some thrown in there, but they played some good competition. You go 12-1. It's the way you're losing basketball games, though. Like the old adage of good teams find different ways to win games. Bad teams find different ways to lose games. For example, you haven't started well really all year in SEC play. Like that blowout against Mississippi State I was just talking about, 80-66, you scored 21 points in the first half. You're not beating anyone scoring 21 points in the first half. You started slow against Vandy, had to try to storm back, couldn't do it. Started really slow against A&M. You did storm back. That wound up being a 3-point game, but it was too late at that point. A&M wins at 75-72. Similar against South Carolina. The only game you started fast, you were blowing the doors off of Kentucky. It was 18-2 at one point early in the first half, and it looked like you were locked in, ready to play. It was the most excited I've seen the PMAC for an LSU men's basketball game in probably 2 to 3 years. And you absolutely collapsed at the end of the game. You couldn't make your 2 free throws. You allow a long pass that nobody defended. You allow Kentucky to get up a pretty manageable shot, and they make it and beat you at the buzzer in heartbreak fashion, 75-74. Now, you do bounce back from that game. You get a win in Baton Rouge against Missouri. There was a banged-up Missouri team who's not very good in general. You win that game 78-70. So, like, okay, you probably should have won the Kentucky game. You let it slip. You get a victory over Missouri. Look, maybe this is starting to trend in the right direction. You get taken down by a good Florida team. Like, I'm not putting all that on LSU. That's a good Florida team. It's in Gainesville. That's a tough place to play. You lose that game pretty handily. And you perform so well against Arkansas on the road. 85-81. You had every opportunity to win that game. Now, you fall short, but Bud Walton, my opinion, best SEC basketball environment out there. Really, really tough place to play. And you almost pull out a win. And you come and lay in an absolute egg in the PMAC on Wednesday night, 80-66. So not only are you starting slow, you are giving up way too many points. I mean, 84, 75, 70, 80, 85, 75. You're giving up way too many points. Now, again, credit this team for battling against Arkansas in 85-81, but there's just so many things wrong with this basketball program right now, and I'm not telling you a change is going to be made. What I am telling you is I don't see it getting any better. So we'll see what happens there. We will obviously follow both of these teams as the season moves along. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints and LouisianaSports.net, joins us next here on Off the Bench.
Off the bench.
Game day hangouts are just winding down after a long day. There's one beer that fits every moment, and that is Dos Equis. Always crisp, refreshing, and perfectly balanced. Dos Equis is easy to drink without sacrificing flavor. It's not heavy. It's not watered down. It's just a great beer you can enjoy all game long. So whether you're watching with friends, grilling outside, or cracking one open after work, Dos Equis always delivers. So next time you're at the store, grab Dos Equis, because the most interesting days deserve the most interesting beer.
That's right. Go for Dos. Drink responsibly. We are about to have one of the most delicious beers ever, which is a nice hotel beer, excuse me. And what we do, we're going to make sure that we go for Dos. We got cold, delicious Mexican lager. They got the Amber Especial. They got the Lager Especial. Make sure if you are getting ready for the weekend, get ready. Stock up on your groceries, certainly getting ready for this cold blizzard, but also stock up on your Dos Equis. Go for Dos. Drink responsibly.
Tigers turn talkers. This is Off the Bench.
Welcome back in a Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn. We want to go out to the phone lines right now, bringing our guy Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints, also writes for us right here at LouisianaSports.net. Ross, how are you this morning?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on, Ross. You were out there in Mobile this week at the Senior Bowl. So we'll stay kind of broad for this first question. Like, maybe the biggest standout for you overall at that Senior Bowl. Like, I know a lot of people talk Tyron Montgomery, the wide receiver from John Carroll, which crazy story. I know most people have heard by now. But, I mean, is there a guy out there that, like, really turned heads to you?
Yeah, I mean, Tyron Montgomery is definitely one of those guys. I would say so is wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Malachi Fields. I think there's a few guys that have come out here and really, really helped themselves in terms of draft status and things like that. He might be one of those guys that might be one of the bigger movers right alongside Tyron Montgomery. But I think that there's other guys out there, too. Texas Tech edge rusher Romello Height was kind of looking to show and prove how versatile his game is. I think he did a very good job of that throughout the practice week. He's a, smaller speed pass rusher and hasn't been asked to do a lot of the kind of versatile outside linebacker, odd front responsibilities. And then he got an opportunity to show that he could do that here in Mobile, which is kind of what this event is all about, right? Going out there and being able to show maybe you could do something that isn't often asked of you. And then the other player that I'll highlight too would be TCU safety Bud Clark. Really versatile guy, has played deep, has played in the slot, and has played in the box. Came out here, was a bit of a playmaker, has a ball hawking mentality. I think he had 4 interceptions last year. This is a guy that, could have been somebody to go in the 6th, 7th round that might have played his way, or at least put himself in position or on a trajectory to go in the 3rd and 4th, or the 4th and 5th rounds, rather, depending upon how his athletic testing goes over the offseason. Several winners. You asked me to pick one. I named like 6 just now. Sorry about that. But it's just the pinnacle of what this event is all about.
Ross, when I see a wide receiver and it says John Carroll University next to it, my question is always, what round are the Saints going to draft them in?
Yeah, they love their small school guys, right? I mean, especially the wide receivers. We've seen guys out of Toledo. We've seen guys, of course, out of what used to be. Oh gosh, what was Marcus Colson's school?
Hofstra.
Hofstra. Thank you. Yeah, they don't even have a football team anymore. And so, they love their small school guys, and he could definitely be one of them, man. He's a really talented player. He's got, obviously, Louisiana ties and everything in terms of his history. And so he's a really impressive dude. And, I think a guy that would make a lot of sense for New Orleans in terms of the type of wideout that they could add to that room to help complement guys like Chris Olave and Devon Bailey.
As far as switching to the other side of the ball, as far as the edge rushers go, I mean, most people believe that edge might be the deepest position in this draft. I mean, there's a number of big-time players, and there were a number of big-time players out there at the Senior Bowl as well. I mean, what guys maybe stood out to you at edge, and then also, which one of them do you think, actually fit what the Saints want to do?
Yeah, I'll go with somebody first that answers both those questions, and I would highlight Western Michigan edge rusher Nadam Tucker, 14.5 sacks last year that tied for the lead, the nation's lead, along with Reuben Bain Jr., who, of course, is going to be a top 10 selection. He also had 20-plus tackles for a loss as well. So very active in the run game while also being very active as a pass rusher. He's a good fit for New Orleans in terms of the speed rusher mold. If they want to kind of meet in the middle on that, Derek Moore out of Michigan, a little bit more of a bigger body, but still 6'3", kind of in between what the things you used to look for in terms of the 6'6", 6'7", 270-pound edge rusher. He's closer to the 6'3", 260 edge rusher. And so he's a unique kind of in-between of what it is the Saints looked for before and what it is they look for in their prototypes now, which has really only expanded the talent pool as opposed to shrunk the talent pool. And so I think those two guys are guys that fit for New Orleans. TJ Parker out of Clemson is another one that fits for New Orleans. He's done himself some favors here. And in the aforementioned Romello Height, I think they put on some really, really good displays here when it came to the edge rusher group, as well as the interior defensive line group, which the Saints could continue to look to hone in and add talent throughout this offseason as well.
Ross Jackson, our guest right now. Ross, the Saints have the 8th pick right now in that first round, and everybody always looks towards that first round pick first and foremost for the obvious reasons. And the name Jeremiah Love has been brought up here and there, and people seem to have vastly different opinions of him depending on who you ask. So, let's say when Roger Goodell walks up there in April, hands in the ticket, and it is Jeremiah Love, what is your reaction?
Yeah, I think it's a smart pick for New Orleans. You have an opportunity to go and get somebody that's an absolute playmaker, and that's a game changer for you, and that ends up helping to solidify both your run game as well as your passing game. A lot of the arguments against drafting Jeremiah Love typically fall apart with a little bit of scrutiny. The idea that, they shouldn't draft a running back when they haven't picked the offensive line. Well, good thing there's a lot more that happens in the offseason than one single draft pick, right? I mean, you have an entire lane of free agency that takes place before the draft begins, and the Saints are likely to have 8 selections in this draft, assuming that their 4th-round compensatory pick conveys after the departure of Paulson Adebo last year, which we expect that it will. And so you can select Jeremiah Love and also help out your offensive line throughout the draft, and then even before you get to the draft with free agency. Running backs are becoming more important in the NFL. We saw the most 2-back sets that we've seen in multiple years this past year, and we're seeing a lot of offenses now shift to being run-heavy. A lot of defenses shift to challenging you to run the football by playing these 2 high shells. You have to have a good run game in today's NFL, and don't forget the Saints still have a young quarterback. And so taking some pressure off of him in a year after they weren't able to get a 500-yard rusher on the field, and he led the team in rushing touchdowns, I think that investing in a high-level running back makes a lot of sense. And for a first-round running back, he's still got a lot of tread left on the tires. He's never had more than 200 carries in a season. He's only 21 years old, 22 years old. I mean, there's a real reason why he could be considered in the top 10 and should be considered in the top 10. And I think that'd be a home run pick for New Orleans today.
Ross, you put out the other day a really detailed article about the running backs at the Senior Bowl, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed reading. What if they don't go Jeremiah Love first round, and they wait a few rounds later, but they do decide they want a running back? I mean, are there any mid to late round running back targets you think provide a lot of value?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think the 2 Penn State running backs are right there for sure. Nicholas Singleton, who's probably in contention to be the number 2 running back, probably competing with guys like Jonah Coleman out of Washington, and then the other Notre Dame running back, Jadarian Price, is actually two really good Notre Dame running backs in this draft class. None of them are Jeremiah Love, don't get me wrong, but a guy like Nicholas Singleton can do a little bit of everything. He runs well. He's very patient. He has some physicality, but he's also explosive. He can catch. He's a fantastic pass protector as well. I think all of those boxes would be very appealing checks for New Orleans. His teammate, Katron Allen, is a bit more of a physical downhill runner. Could be a great fit for New Orleans as well. And then I'd point out Mike Washington out of Arkansas, who I thought did have a really strong Senior Bowl week here in Mobile. And then, Indiana Hoosiers, anytime you get an opportunity to get one of those guys from Kirk Cignetti's culture in your team, I think it's worth your time as a general manager. And Kalon Black, big physical, just mean and violent runner, I think he could be a lot of fun in the black and gold as well.
Ross, just a few more for you here. Want to transition a little bit to the offensive line. There were a number of guys out there at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, Saints fans are like, oh, you got to shore up the O-line, How high up on the Saints priority list do you think that is in this coming draft?
I imagine it's pretty high on their priority list this offseason, and that will begin with retaining players that they want to retain, and that will begin with potentially signing free agents. I think, the Saints are going to have some room to spend in a way that they haven't in some time, but I don't expect them to go crazy. I don't expect them to start resetting markets, acquisitions, and things like that. But if I'm Mickey Loomis, if I'm the Saints, and I'm going into free agency with a little bit of money to spend, I think I want to spend that money on the offensive line and go out there and try to find a starter in the interior, a potential second player to sign on the interior that can bring you some competition and also some strong depth. I want to bring, Luke Fortner back if I'm the Saints. That's where the offensive line building, I think, starts. This is a team that has really leaned on the draft to build its offensive line, and they've had some hits and misses there. I think going to the NFL and finding NFL players and asking them to do an NFL job on your NFL team is the better way to go about it. So I would look at free agency being that, and then maybe falling back on, some draft picks to help shore up depth and give you some development. I think guys like Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech would be a great start. I also think a developmental guy like Jeremiah Wright, who's really impressive here out of Auburn, 6'5", 340 pounds, physical, big dude, kind of fits the mold of the interior offensive lineman that Kellen Moore had when he was in Philadelphia. I think those guys make sense after you to help to supplement the position after you've taken care of the need in free agency.
If you are the Saints GM and it's Saints GM Ross Jackson, you got to turn in the card in round one. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass up on Jeremiah Love. If Jeremiah Love's not on the board, I'm looking over to the defensive side. And, if it's Caleb Downs out of Ohio State or one of those edge rushers like a David Bailey out of Texas Tech that's there, I'd probably lean there. I think wide receiver you can wait in this draft, and so I wouldn't be as much in a hurry now as I might have been, a month ago for guys like Arizona State's Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. I think for me, I lean towards either that playmaking running back in Jeremiah Love, or if I can't find that, I'm going to defense. I'm trying to find a playmaker over on that side.
Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints and LouisianaSports.net. You can find all of his stuff there. Ross, thanks so much for joining us today.
Stay safe. Thanks so much for having me on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. That there was Ross Jackson. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. Coming back, wrapping up hour number 2 next. You're on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
All right, when it comes to protecting your home, your roof matters, and that's where Pelican Roofing comes in. Pelican Roofing is locally owned. It's been, doing it for a long time with quality workmanship, dependable service, and doing the job the right way. So whether you need a full roof replacement, repairs, or professional inspection, their team brings experience and attention to detail to every project. They show up on time, communicate clearly, and stand behind their work. If you're thinking about your roof, don't wait. Visit pelicanroof.com to learn more today. Again, that's Pelican Roofing, protecting what matters most, pelicanroof.com.
That's right, Pelican Roof, pelicanroof.com, the most trusted roofing company in Louisiana. They specialize in roof repairs and complete roof replacement. So if you got a job, if you just have to get it replaced, maybe you're building a new home, give them a call or go to the website, pelicanroof.com, see all the 5-star reviews and financing options as well. We know it's a big decision financially for you, so go check it out. Start the financing process started right there, pelicanroof.com.
Locked in on LSU football 24/7. You're listening to Off the Bench.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2 here on a Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn, Alondra Villarreal, Cassie Spazzali, hanging out with you as well here on this Friday morning. And got a few minutes here before we have to hit that top of the hour break. All the talk this week has been about Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame snub, right? He's not going to be a first ballot. He came up, it looks like a vote short. It looks like 11 people didn't vote for him. You got to get 40 out of the 50 votes to make it to the Hall of Fame. And that sucks. I don't even particularly like Bill Belichick. I think there's no question about it. Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. People start questioning, okay, is it Spygate? Is it Deflategate? Like, what's the issue? What kept him out? My question's always been, keep Tom Brady from being a first ballot Hall of Famer? He was on the team for both of those things. You better not. Like, Tom Brady's Hall of Fame vote should take 15 seconds. Everybody should just raise their hand, say yes. It counts that long to count all 50 votes, and then boom, Tom Brady's in the Hall of Fame. It's the easiest Hall of Fame vote probably in the history of this league. But if you do it to Belichick, do you do it to Tom Brady? Now, since all the talk's been about Belichick's snub, very few people have actually mentioned the finalists that still remain for the 2026 NFL Hall of Fame class. That'll actually be announced on February 5th out in San Francisco at the NFL Honors right before the Super Bowl. So it's something to kind of keep an eye on next week. But first-year eligible players, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, Jason Witten. I mean, those guys are all going to get in at some point. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are first ballot Hall of Famers. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, Drew's what, a top 10 quarterback of all time? Some may even say top 5. And then, like, Larry Fitzgerald, he's on my list of top 5 receivers in NFL history. I mean, I'm going Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, T.O., Larry Fitzgerald. Like, that's the order for me. I know he's not the flashiest guy. I know he never went into press conferences and did anything controversial, but Larry Fitzgerald has more career tackles than drop passes, and he played over a decade. I mean, just think about that. I mean, I still look back on the Super Bowl in 2008 between the 2009 Super Bowl, but 2008 football season between the Cardinals and the Steelers. Still my favorite Super Bowl of all time. Steelers wind up winning that game, but my God, Larry Fitzgerald was unguardable. And that was the Steelers team that had arguably the best defense in the NFL. And Larry Fitzgerald did whatever he wanted. And there was really no drop-off for it. And, like, okay, you can look at some of these receivers. Like, he's not a first ballot, but Reggie Wayne's up for it again. Torrey Holt's up for it again. Those guys are going to get in at some point. But they did it with really good quarterbacks. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald had Kurt Warner for a few seasons, had Carson Palmer for 2 years towards the end of his career, and Palmer was actually pretty good there. Outside of that, it was kind of a turnstile of quarterbacks for Larry Fitzgerald at Arizona, and he never missed a beat. I mean, he's one of those receivers that's quarterback-proof, right? I say that about Devontae Adams. It doesn't really matter who's throwing him the ball. Devontae Adams is going to catch a lot of passes, and he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Same can be said for Larry Fitzgerald. Also, Drew Brees is getting in. First ballot. Like, there's no question about that. I know we here in the state of Louisiana are more privy to Drew Brees than most people, but, I mean, anybody with half a brain knows Drew Brees is going to get in on the first ballot. There's no question about it. I do want to mention that Eli Manning, it was actually announced for the second year in a row, will not make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I know a lot of people scratch their heads on that and say, well, Eli Manning has to be a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, he's one of the most legendary players in the league. Sure, he is. But I understand why he hasn't made it. Like, Eli's going to make the Hall of Fame. He's won 2 Super Bowls. I think it's also important to note that he won both of those Super Bowls against Mr. Super Bowl himself, Tom Brady. He's 2-0 against him in the big game. He's going to make the Hall of Fame at some point. But Eli Manning, 60% completion, 366 career touchdowns, 244 career interceptions. And his record as an NFL starting quarterback is 117 and 117. Big-time moments from Eli. Had some big-time seasons. His 16-year career as a whole, it had a lot of ups and downs. Now, you're going to say he played for the Giants. I understand that, but the Giants are not what they are now, what they were when he played there. I mean, it wasn't as hard of a division then. The Cowboys had Tony Romo, who couldn't win it when it mattered most. The Redskins were going through their own quarterback issues, which seems like they have my entire life until now. And then the Eagles had an aging Donovan McNabb, and then when they moved on from him, like you had Vic for a few years, but then after that didn't work out, you bounced around. You went Nick Foles, you went Sam Bradford. So, I mean, Eli had an opportunity to do that, and he won the division quite a few times, but like I like Eli. Again, he's going to make the Super Bowl. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, but 4 Pro Bowls, that's it. I mean, that's where Eli Manning's career is. And again, 60% completion, a 500 record as a starter in the National Football League. Look, all those guys are going to get it. Like Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Adam Vinatieri, who I'm surprised wasn't a first ballot. This is his second year up for it. All those guys are going to get in. But I think no question in my mind, like Jason Witten's kind of iffy for me. He's going to get in as he first ballot. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased. I think Jason Witten should be in the first ballot, but Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are getting it. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's happening. So it's like, I get that the Belichick thing was a snub. It's ridiculous. The Hall of Fame came out and said, if voters aren't fair and don't vote for people for personal reasons, they may have their vote taken away. Fine, but I wanted to highlight the guys that are actually still up for it because I think that they're gonna get in. I saw something funny the other day. I almost sent it to Alondra. It said, guys, don't worry about Bill Belichick. He waited 49 years for his girlfriend to be born. He could wait a year for the Hall of Fame. So, obviously, him and Jordan Hudson. But 49 years is insane. I didn't realize that until I actually saw the meme.
Real fast, I did see one that was like, there's nothing more emblematic about Drew Brees than him being a first ballot Hall of Famer, being overshadowed by Bill Belichick. Yeah.
No one talking about it. All right, look, that's going to do it for hour number 2. We are rolling right along here on this Friday. Coming up in the third hour, we're going to give you a quick Super Bowl preview, early thoughts. Jace Lazerne of Gridiron Football joins us as well. That's all coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
All right, go to rouses.com. And when you go to rouses.com, the thing that we always kind of encourage you to do is go check out that weekly ad. See what they have on special. Now, hopefully you took advantage of the 65-year anniversary a week ago that we were telling you about. But that doesn't mean that the deals are going to stop. You go right now, you type in your zip code, it's going to pull up that closest Rouse's Market to you because that's one of the great things, right? You are going to have those deals in all of those locations. Like right now, you've got boneless London broil steak. You got boneless top round roast, only $5.97 a pound. You got Lorianne peaches, only $2.99 a pound. Go to rouses.com.
Peach season, oh my goodness, $2.99 a pound. We got some peaches the other day from Rouse's. They were unbelievable. Wife made a little cobbler. Kidding me? Yeah, we usually, like a grocery store, we wouldn't usually send you to the website route. Go there because you can see the deals. You have the coupons right there. You can see their specials, what they're doing. 65 years, Rouse's local market. You know what it is. Don't go to those national ones. You know what? Go to a local one. And you know why? Because it's better.
They sell My High, too.
And they sell that My High. Go drink it. But go to Rouse's Market. Go to your nearest one. Get your groceries today. Rouse's.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.